My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
And on top of that, all these guys that are jumping in saying blah, blah, blah. Oh, she's never going to find anybody. This is why women's wrong. Most of those guys are single anyway. And I don't take relationship advice from single people. I'm sorry. Like, you can't tell me. You can tell me maybe some pitfalls that I might need to watch out for, but you can't tell me what's right because you can't find your own person.
What up, what up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, joined my co-host, Rozzy and Buff. First of all, fellas, happy early Father's Day and happy early Juneteenth. So with that being said, tell the people what's on your minds.
Hey, I was going to do the same thing, man. Appreciate that. Happy Father's Day to you two brothers and to all the fathers that are listening. Happy Juneteenth, Black people. Celebrate it in your own way. I know people are saying go support Black business. Let's try to do that throughout the year, but especially for Juneteenth, let's try to do that. And, real quick before I toss it to Rozzy, there comes a point in time when a man has to own his mistakes. And there's a particular party that I have taken shots at repeatedly on this show, time and time again. And let me say, those shots were warranted, but they have redeemed themselves. And I'm talking about Arby's. Arby's has a Wagyu beef burger that is pretty good. I went to Arby's for the first time in at least 20 years. I don't think I've been there since I was living in Mobile. Ferg has his hand down. Hear me out, Ferg. Just try the burger. And look, I've criticized their fries too, because I always felt like their curly fries were on the brink of being burnt. They offer you crinkle fries now. And they got a nice...
Yeah, the crinkle fries are actually pretty good.
And they got a nice strawberry lemonade, peach lemonade, and regular lemonade. So all the slander I've given Arby's has been deserved. You guys are trash. But that new burger you got is pretty good. Now, I don't know how you've been in business this long. I know Rozzy eats there and a couple of more people that are probably family members of the company. But other than that, I don't know how you guys are in business. But since you are and you came with this burger, I got to give you your props. The burger is pretty good. So congratulations to you, Hardee's, for that. That's all I got.
Arby's, not Hardee's.
Yeah, I thought I said Arby's. Well, Arby's. If I say Hardee's anytime, I meant Arby's. Arby's.
You might as well say Hardee's.
Now, Hardee's is trash.
Better than Arby's.
Their breakfast is decent. They had an omelet biscuit for a long time. That was pretty good.
The Frisco burger was actually really good.
See?
It's just greasy. It was like really greasy, but that Frisco burger is pretty good. Yeah.
And on biscuits used to be $5 back in the day too.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to Hardee's.
Back in the day. I
haven't gone to Hardee's. Well, Arby's has never really been $5.
Just saying. I like shaved roast beef. It's actually tasty. So, but Buff, I thought you were going to actually go down the Democrat route because you take shots at them a good bit too.
That's
and
where I thought you were going.
They've actually kind of gotten some gun control stuff. The House passed their gun control bill, and the Senate just announced, and that's the cool thing about us recording on Sunday, the Senate just announced that they have a game plan to be able to pass some stuff. So we'll see how it comes out. But even it's a bipartisan thing, so that might be something that they actually are able to get through, is some form of gun control. So, big ups to them.
Good job. I don't want to be, let me not be too negative. I'll just say this. I know people are going to roll their eyes. how bad are we that we've now had 2, elementary school mass shootings in less than 10 years? Less than maybe, when was Sandy Hook? What was that, like 5 years ago? Whenever it was. And right now, the best we can do is to say that, okay, you got to be 3 years older to get that type of weapon. Like, that is what we're celebrating. And that's good. That's a step forward. That's what we asked for a couple episodes ago. So I don't want to be too negative. But it does, to me, put it in perspective of just how much we love guns, that this is considered progress, that we're now saying, hey, the weapon that he used to kill all those kids, let's make them the same age you got to be to buy liquor. Just 3 years older. But, good job, Democrats. Good job.
And most times, the kids that do those mass shootings in the schools, they're parents' weapons. So it really didn't matter. So this won't change most of what we see in these mass shootings. Or mass school shootings. I won't say mass shootings, but mass school shootings.
What it will change is the Republicans aren't going to budge on anything anytime soon. Here's your little win. Shut up. And yes, Sandy Hook was 10 years ago, December of 2012.
So the Republicans said, go on, take your little win and get out my face?
Yeah,
is that what they did?
Yeah, essentially. Watch.
Take your little funky $20.
What else do you want from us? We passed your little bill. What else do you want from us?
Yeah, we can be bipartisan. So yeah, that's true. It's going to be bad, man.
It's actually smart too, because, that's a very small voting block. I mean, I know there's a lot of people in this country that are from ages 18 to 21, but the people that show up time and time again, it doesn't even affect them. So if you're a Republican and you're against it, at the end of the day, it doesn't restrict your gun rights in any type of way or anything like that. So it's kind of like a win for Republicans in a way, because they show that, hey, we can be bipartisan, and they're not really giving up anything.
Here's your little funky win. Now shut up. It's simple, man. I mean, sometimes we just got to take a step back and look at it as like, how many 18 to 21-year-olds are really buying guns? It's not. I don't think they're the largest block of gun owners. And like Rozzy said, they just go use their mom and dads to shoot up the school. Problem solved.
Yep.
So who's up next? What do you got?
Oh, speaking of gun charges and things like that, I don't know if y'all saw Roddy Ricch got arrested. I don't even know what he got arrested for, but yeah, he was about to go on and got arrested for something. So just throwing that out there, because I don't think most of our listeners even know who Roddy Ricch is or care. But yeah, he's been arrested. But while we were talking about the arresting, did you guys see that 31 intended rioters were arrested? So that's kind of cool that, they jumped out of a U-Haul.
On their way to about an eighth of a mile away from a pride parade.
Yeah. They were they had plans to riot, like operations plans, all kind of stuff. And so it was crazy that, people are kind of still copycatting and ready to riot. And so when we think about these terroristic acts, they're still out there, man. White nationalism is still very strong, and they're ready to kind of keep going and do these things. So hats off to the police department. Hats off to that good Samaritan that said, yo, it's some people that look kind of suspicious loading up in a U-Haul. So y'all might want to check that out. So that it was the weirdest thing, but it's kind of cool that law enforcement actually took it seriously. They arrested them. They only charged them with intent to riot, which is a misdemeanor. So they'll probably get slaps on the wrist and get back out there and probably do it again. But hopefully this will be a deterrent to some other folks that might be trying to do this, because, they see people are watching, and that they can get arrested before they start the thing now. So that's another one.
Very optimistic.
I know. I'm just, I'm in a good mood today. I watched Top Gun, and did we talk about Top Gun on here? So I don't know if we did. Top Gun is freaking awesome. Top Gun Maverick. If you have not seen that movie, go see that movie. Like, it is probably the best movie I've seen in the last 5 years. MCU, anybody, hands down. It is an awesome movie. So I would advise you go see it. It's one of those ones that you walk out of there like, I'm ready to go be a pilot. Just like the first one. I don't know if y'all did that, but me watching Top Gun when I was younger, I was like, I want to be a pilot in the Navy. Like, I want to fly an F-14. And walking out of Top Gun Maverick, I was like, I'm ready to get back in the military and fly an F-14. Like, I want to do that junk. And so it is very much nostalgic. It brings back all the memories of the original. It has that 80s flair to it, but it's updated. And so like millennials or even Gen Z can look at it and be like, okay, that's kind of a really, really cool movie. So it is awesome, man. So if you haven't seen it, go out and watch it.
I intend to. So thank you for bringing that up. Alrighty. Well, it's been a long week, fellas. Long week. We're back in the saddle, getting ready for another week. Like I said, happy early Father's Day. Happy early Juneteenth. And I don't know if we said this yet. Happy Pride Month. Have we mentioned that on any of our episodes?
No, we haven't. Yeah.
Yeah. So happy Pride Month. What else is going on? Not much. Tired, man. Just got back from Mobile. We celebrated the homegoing of Sherman's dad, Louis Petway. It's always good to get together with friends and family. It just sucks. It has to be under certain situations. So once again, hats off to that. I mean, hearts go out to that family. And hopefully as we continue to meet and get together, hopefully it's under joyous occasions. So outside of that, let's go ahead and get it started.
Cool. Oh, wait, we got to get this joke in. Sophie is ready. She's got one queued up for y'all. Yeah, we got Sophie back. So hold on, let me go grab her.
Thought she was still gone.
Sophie got a wife beat on.
Hello.
How
goes it, Miss Sophie?
Amazing.
Amazing?
Yeah.
Stupendous even? Or just amazing?
Stupendous.
Stupendous and amazing?
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome.
Amazing.
So stupendous, amazing, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I heard you got a good joke for us today.
Yes, I got a very good joke. Now we need to look for it because we lost it.
You lost it. Is that the joke?
Yeah.
What happened to a joke?
No.
Oh, I don't know. That was funny.
What kind of doctor is Dr. Pepper?
Got the time. Okay. Got nothing, Sophie.
A physician.
I wouldn't have got that.
Yeah, I definitely got that one. Kudos, young Sophia.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Learn the ways of the jokes.
Learn the ways of the jokes.
Yeah.
That might be a t-shirt.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I got my nails done, too. Run!
So who we got? Who's up first?
You went last week because your birthday.
It's either me or Ferg.
Is it on you, Buff, or is it on me?
It's one of us.
Okay. Do you have something you just want to jump? Well, I think I have one that I want to jump off with.
Okay.
So mine is going to be kind of a two-parter, and I think it might be suitable because we're going into Father's Day. If y'all want to go there, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go.
My first question is, can you tell us and the listeners your most memorable or favorite moment with your dad?
What comes to mind, not to be superficial, but was something that he bought. And I say that because, my dad let me down a lot growing up. He would promise to get me something and just didn't. And sometimes I ain't even get like a excuse. It just, the day would come when he was supposed to get it, and the day would go, and no explanation. I just wouldn't get it. So I told the story on one of our first episodes about the how I was supposed to get some Reebok pumps, and then Wendell made fun of me because I had Bobos instead. So that's why this stands out. And he got me Super Nintendo, and it's memorable because it was almost like a movie. It's like the kid that's been let down by the father over and over again. And then the mom talks to the dad like, hey, your son is losing faith in you. You can't let him down again or you'll lose him forever. And it's like, okay, I'm going to get him the Super Nintendo he's always wanted. And then a week before Christmas comes, 5 days, 4, 3, no Super Nintendo. Christmas Eve night, okay? And I showed people, I think I showed it on Three Brothers No Sense, that garage apartment we lived in Pritchard. He came up the stairs that night, and you could always hear when somebody was coming up those stairs. He came up the stairs, the box was wrapped, and I remember, I stayed up late on Christmas Eve trying to see Santa. But at the same time, this don't make any sense. I knew my parents bought my gifts, but I still believe in Santa. Don't ask me why. That's just how I rolled when I was young. But but I went to the door and I saw him coming up the stairs, and just something in me knew that was that Super Nintendo, and my eyes lit up. And it's not so much about the game, even though I love that game. It was that my dad had finally kept his word and came through for a change. And that has always stuck with me, man. Like that was like a very, very happy moment. Now we've had other moments where just him and I were together, hanging out, but that is the most memorable because he actually kept his word for a change.
That's cool, man. It's always good when he live up to your expectations.
Yeah, for me, it's hard to pick one. I think that's the hardest part of this question for me. And so I think what I'm going to do, totally bastardize your question, but I'm going to take it in kind of waves or eras is probably the best way to put it. So my most memorable when I was a kid, I actually told this story at his funeral, but my most memorable as a kid was I've always had problems sleeping. And so always had insomnia, and I would wake up all kind of random times of night. And so I remember one night I woke up and it was maybe 12 o'clock, 12:30, and he was still up watching TV or whatever. And I got up, and instead of him making me go back to bed, he got up, was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I just can't sleep." He fixed me a bologna sandwich, a fried bologna sandwich, put some mustard on it or whatever. And we sat down and we watched Speed Racer. And then right after Speed Racer, the old Superman, like the live action black and white one would come on. So you'd watch Speed Racer and then we watched Superman. And it kind of became our thing because I could never sleep. And I guess he never slept either a lot. And so that was our thing, is like I'd get up and like in the middle of the night, we'd eat this fried bologna sandwich and watch Speed Racer or whatever. And I remember it was funny when the movie came out. I think it came out around 2000-ish. If you guys ever remember the live action Speed Racer coming out. I went by myself to watch it because I was, I think I was in AIT at the time or somewhere where, with the military. And so I just kind of went by myself and I literally cried in the theater watching it, just remembering watching it with my dad. And so that for me is super memorable. And then fast forward, I think the next most memorable for my dad is when I got my commission as an officer, and my dad gave me my first salute. And so like he saluted me, I returned the salute or whatever. And then he whispered in my ear, he's like, "That's the last time I'm gonna ever salute you." So he never saluted me again, but no matter what, if we were both in uniform, it did not matter. He would not salute me after that. But that, I just remember because that was my first salute and it came from him. So that was just super dope. And then I think I told a story in his later years, really kind of in the last year. I told you guys a story about how he was just eating cereal that day and he just looked up and he was just like, "I'm proud of you." And so that one like really sticks out because, I'm always worried about living up to his expectations, my mom's expectations, everybody's expectations. And to just hear him like verbalizing and say it was a big deal. And listening to Cooley and his speech at his dad's funeral really brought that back and made me think about that, because that was one of the things that Cooley talked about, was that, with all his dad flaws and everything that happened, he was like, my dad, had a temper, he had a drinking problem, everything. But for me growing up, I needed somebody to say, "I love you and I'm proud of you." And he was like, my dad did that. He like actually said it to me, and that was a big deal for me. And so for my dad to just say that just randomly, not like no prodding or anything, that was huge. And so those are kind of the three big ones that just like always stick out in my mind with him. So I'll just leave it at that, man. But there's so many more. That's the kind of cool part about it. Like, you know, having a good relationship with your dad is always so many.
Oh, that's super dope, man. That's super dope. I think my next question is gonna be very interesting how both of you guys answer then.
Hold on, we don't get to know yours.
I'm about to come with it.
Okay.
Give me a sec.
Okay.
So mine is kind of like Rising. It's two parts. One is I remember when I was very young. I was in Dallas. It was before my brothers were born and everything. It was my mom, my dad, and for reference, when I say my dad, I'm talking about my stepdad, the one that passed 3 months ago. And I think my mom we drove to Mobile. We had a trip to Mobile and we had a rental car. And we dropped off the rental car and my mom was supposed to pick us up, and he called her to pick us up, but she didn't answer the phone. Livid. And I couldn't be any more than 5. And so we had to walk from the rental car place to our apartment complex. And I feel like that was the longest walk of my life. But it was the fact that the whole way, it was just the two of us walking and talking, you know, and him telling me how much he loved me and all this stuff as a little kid, you know, that I knew that wasn't my dad, but that was probably one of the first moments I felt like I knew he accepted me as his, because he was calling me his son, and we stopped and he put me on his shoulders when I was too tired to walk and stuff like that. It might have been 2 miles, but it might as well have been a marathon, because I was just that dog tired when I got home. And I just remember that was very big for me. And I always wanted to be accepted by him. I always wanted to feel like I was his. Secondly, fast forward, call it 30 years. I would say, no, this is probably right before I met Z. So 25 years. And I remember he was in his, you know, my dad, if you want to find me, pull up to Mobile, you're going to catch him at a shop. So I was pulling into Mobile, you know, getting off. This is when he had the shop off of Spring Hill. And so I'm coming in from Tallahassee. I get off I-10 on my way to my mom's house. I would stop by his shop and holler at him for a while. And so this was one of those times we just sat and talked. And this is when I kind of realized that relationships progress. This was that first time it wasn't really, you know, a father and a young son conversation. It was a man-to-man conversation. And we started talking about all the things he's been through, or a lot of things he's been through, especially when it came to my mom, and watching us grow up and how hard things were for him, as far as, you know, walking out of the house, leaving the house that day, and just watching us grow to a certain extent without him. And just telling me how proud he was of me on every aspect, including, you know, just the way I navigated my life, you know, not rushing into things too quickly, you know, even talking about, you know, as much as he loved my mother, he got married so young that he felt like he didn't experience life. And he's like, I admire you for experiencing life, enjoying life, and, you know, dating and having fun and, you know, having a full experience. And I just remember sitting there talking to him and thinking, this is what it's all about. This is why, you know, I could see myself having kids. I think that might have been the first moment I could really open my mind to me being a father. And I didn't just realize that until like right now. Because it sometimes it's this, you're going to have those failures. Nobody's perfect. But at the same time, it's the adulthood. It's those long lasting relationships, those relationships that you can really talk about, because as kids, we couldn't understand the challenges our parents were going through. We couldn't understand the pressures and things like that. And still at 25, you know, I couldn't fully understand, because I didn't have a wife, didn't have kids. I couldn't understand the things he was talking about, but I understood more. And we can start having those conversations, and it made me start thinking about being a parent, accepting him for who he was and all that stuff. So that was a really cool moment for me. Happy Byron.
Yes.
So with that being said, I promise this is my last time mentioning this book.
Will.
But I think it had a lot of good points in it. So once again, in Will Smith's book, he mentioned his relationship with Jaden. He always talked about his relationship with his father, but he mentioned a pivotal turning point in his relationship with Jaden. It was after Jaden did the movie. What's the movie they did together?
After Earth.
Yeah. After Jaden did the movie After Earth with him, and how Will was guiding him, and through everything he said, he followed all Will's guidance and stuff like that, and the movie bombed. Jaden got blasted, and he looked at his father differently. He's like, maybe you're not perfect. Maybe you are flawed. Maybe you're not Superman. So he goes on to say, and not these exact words, but like, a critical stage in a boy becoming a man is the moment of individuation from his father when he realizes his father is flawed. That your father is not Superman. That moment you decide to separate from him. The moment you decide you're going to live and die by your own hand. So with that being in mind, how do you feel about that theory? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like that was it's not the single moment, but was that the kind of the beginning of your transition to manhood, where you felt like, I gotta be my own man. I can't just count on my dad. You guys got the premise?
I think for me, I don't think there was ever this aha moment where I was like, I can't count on my dad. I gotta be my own man. I think that's because hold on, because and maybe I made it too black and white. It wasn't like I just can't count on him. It's just like, Well, I'm not thinking perfect. Of like count on him like, like I'm not saying like count on him like he won't be there for me. I'm saying count on him like do what he tells me to do, follow his his direction and go this other way, type thing. But the reason why I don't know if that ever really happened for me, and there was never like this break, was because my dad always taught us that way. So it was, we never were in the situation where my dad was like, my way or the highway, or my way is best and I know what's best. My dad was always that kind of laid back, I'm gonna give you advice, I'm gonna give you what you should do, but it's always your choice. Okay. And so with that, like, he never imposed his will for me to have to say, I'm my own man now. So,
and that's good. And I just to clarify, I wasn't trying to say that he was a dictatorship. For me, it was that thought process. You remember, like, my dad's better than your dad. My dad can beat your dad up type thing, where you're like, maybe my dad is not Superman. Maybe he can actually get his ass kicked. Not on that level, but it's like, I remember growing up thinking my dad can do this, my dad can do that, my dad can be this. And then you start realizing that he can't do everything that's going on in my head. He's not this Superman. He is my dad. Yeah. And so that's where I was going with that one. Not necessarily it was a dictatorship and it's like my way or the highway.
Yeah, I think it took me a long time to get that, like, to think my dad wasn't Superman. I really think it was, truthfully, I feel like my dad was Superman until he got sick, and where he, like, you could physically and mentally see that he was kind of going down. But I really never ran into anything that I felt like my dad couldn't do. Like, my dad was a jack of all trades, right? Like, my dad was the family man. My dad was the cool ladies man. Like, he always could, like, flirt and he was charismatic. He knew how to fix a car and play video games and shoot guns. And it was like, I really never found anything that my dad just couldn't do. Until it was to the point where he couldn't do it. And so even for me, even in that, it's like, I still think my dad was a superhero. I don't know if that's me with rose-colored glasses or whatever, but I do. I really still feel that way about him. So I never experienced that. And so I guess I'm probably the wrong one to kind of go through that.
I mean, but that could also, because I've always seen you as mature. Very sensible thoughts. But at the same time, when I think about it now, I always thought you did have that extra layer of protection, where you could go where, if you needed dad to sign off on something, like if you needed him, he might say no just because he was being dad. But there was an option to go to him with those things or certain things that a lot of people don't. So that's pretty cool. What say you, Buff?
Well, for me, I have to answer this question a little different because I can't relate. I never looked at my dad as Superman. And to his credit, growing up, he always told me, be better than me. So I never looked at him as like, he's near perfect. He's Superman. I want to be just like him. I looked at him as when I grow up, I want to try to be better than him. And I talked about that's why, daddy-daughter days and stuff like that. I wanted to be better than him. So I didn't look at him as Superman, but I'll give him his credit. I looked at him as my own personal Thanos because, the common joke on sitcoms and stuff is the boy needs to be afraid of the girl's father because if he messes up, he has to worry about what her father is going to do. You see on social media now, I guess it's supposed to be funny of dads taking pictures with guns before their daughter goes on a prom date. I never had to worry about a girl's father because I don't care what your father think he gonna do to me. I got Charlie Evans and that nigga crazy. So you try something you want to with me and he gonna come see you with that revolver he got. So he was my own personal Thanos to where I didn't have to worry about anything like that because if I wanted to, I could just make a phone call and we could set it off. So that's how I looked at my dad, but he wasn't perfect and he knew that. And that's what I do like about, he knew he wasn't perfect. He didn't try to be perfect and he always pushed me to be better than him.
At any point, like even when you were younger, did you see, maybe it happened younger than some, at any point did you see him as perfect? Like when maybe 3, 4, 5, like, man, my dad this, my dad that. And then at an early age, he just disappointed you. Because I think that was
not perfect, but he was the parent that I wanted to be around the most. He was the fun one. He was the one that, I just had a good time with. But I just never had that view of him as being perfect.
And would you say that made you grow up faster? Like wanting to be more of the man?
Possibly, yeah. I can see that.
And so I think that's where it was going. If you, as a boy, and every boy doesn't grow up with a father regardless, which might also mean they choose to grow up faster because they want to be more of the man. They want to protect the mother. They want to do that. And for everybody, it might come at a different stage, or some people it might not come at all. But I did think that there was a lot of truth in that. I look back on my childhood and think about the way I viewed my dad, and I knew he wasn't perfect, but in your mind, it's just, man, my dad can do this, my dad can do that. My dad, we would go to school, he was always the dude that was dressed to the nines. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, I didn't know a lot of black men wearing suits. I didn't know a lot of black men who were just so well spoken and could carry a room that way. And that was him. He was, when he showed up, you were like, yeah, that's my dad right there. He commanded the room, and they would look at him, they look at me, and they understood what they were dealing with. And so that was a lot of the views I had of him early. And because he was very demanding of my excellence, he did the same thing, be better than me. And the way you need to be better than me is you need to be in these books. You need to stay out of trouble. Don't do this. Don't do that. Respect them. It's like, man, I have this guy. This dude is just telling me if I follow his lead, I'm going to go on to greatness. But he still let me be me. When I was young and everybody's like, oh, he don't play football. And I was playing soccer. Well, little black boy plays soccer. He's riding back to the family in Mobile ain't no black boys playing soccer because I'm in Dallas and there was an image of me they wanted or they thought I should be, and he always protected me from that. When they because I wasn't really crazy about sports or I was just well spoken or talk Mobile terms, I talk like a white boy. He always protected me from those naysayers who wanted me to be normal, mediocre, average at best, I guess. But the moment, not even the moment, when him and my mom, their relationship started sliding, and the moment that night he left the house was my moment. That was I have to be better than that. I can't. And that was a moment I started, that moment changed everything. Came from this person who was dependent on his guidance to somebody who wanted to be independent of his thought. And so that made me, to me, I think that was a stage where I became the catalyst or that critical point in my life where I can say I started becoming more of a man. And so maybe because it was traumatic to a certain extent, or maybe because it was traumatic enough for me to recognize that aha moment. But that was the moment, when I went to comfort my mother and like let her know that things were going to be okay and everything was going to be all right. That was a moment I knew that I whether I wanted to be a man or not, I had to be the man. And so, but the thing about it is, I realized he was flawed. It took me a long time to understand life and that we're all flawed and that, he was dealing with things the best he could. I forgave him. But I had a conversation with my therapist the other day, and we were talking about, you were talking about rose-colored glasses. As much as I loved him, much as I respected him, I realized that I could never view him the same. It was no more I couldn't put the genie back in the bottle. Like, as much as I loved him, much as I respect him, he would always just be a man who happened to be my father that I love, but that's all he could be at that point. He could never be Superman again.
It's a good one, man. Fun combo.
That was a hell of a topic, man. I like that. You want to go next, Rozzy, or me?
Oh, happy Father's Day.
I can, because to stay on this whole father's thing, I've been reading Elaine Welteroth's book. So Elaine Welteroth, if you guys don't know, she was like one of the first black editors at I can't remember, Condé Nast, which is they own like Vogue and all, Glamour magazine and all the kind of women's magazines out there, or the big ones. And she was like one of the first black editors to kind of take that on. She was also a judge on Project Wormway. That was me and Jen's thing. So we watched that. So that's where I kind of started falling in love with her. And so when she dropped her book, I was like, I got to read it. And so I finally got around to reading it or starting to read it. And she was kind of talking about her growing up and being biracial and how her parents taught her what a man was, how to date and everything. But then she talks about how she didn't feel pretty for a long time. And then when she finally started getting some attention, how that changed. And then, how, she's gone through bad relationships. So her books is kind of all over the place with that, which is really, really cool. But it brought me back when I was listening to it and got to the chapter where she was really talking about this serious relationship she was in, where the guy wasn't good for her, but there were still people that were like telling her to stay with the guy, or whatever. And then when the words got out, she still wanted to stay with the guy, and everybody was like, leave him. And it brought me back around to Lori Harvey and the conversations that I've been seeing about her. And how she's been dating a lot. She's gone through a lot of guys, and, her and Michael B. Jordan just broke up, and everybody has an opinion about that. And I wanted to get you guys' opinions, or I wanted to discuss what we're teaching our daughters, because all three of us have daughters, about dating. And would we stand by our daughter if she was doing what Lori Harvey was, or would we be like Elaine Welteroth's parents or dad and be like, oh, you got to stay with this guy, you can't be dating too much, yada yada yada, he's a good guy, stay with him, even though it's kind of not working out for her. So where do you guys stand on the dating aspect of it, and how many people your daughter can date, yada yada yada?
Man, people are so invested in celebrity relationship. That's just crazy to me. But to your question, I want to teach my daughter to not do what so-called society thinks she should do, just to placate and please everyone else but herself. Don't stay in a situation that you don't want to be in. Overall, I guess what I'll say is, because I get the optics of it, and I saw all the jokes, Lori Harvey is a and all this kind of stuff, and but she's actually not doing anything any different than what most men do, especially at that age, and most celebrity men do. We don't see too many celebrity women do it. I know Jennifer Lopez caught a lot of jokes back in the day from going from guy to guy, but it's just that we happen to know about her guys. But the average young woman who is pursuing her career but is also interested in dating guys, that's what they do. They date several different people. But everybody's rushing to judgment because we know her business. And partly, too, because of some of the guys she has dated, like Future, who everyone calls King Toxic, and things like that. And, she did date a father and the son. That's kind of... Now, I definitely kind of look down on that. But overall, I don't want my daughter to do anything that doesn't make her happy, that doesn't cause harm to her. And if she's 24, 25 and is dating a guy, it doesn't matter to everyone else, because recently it's the whole Michael B. Jordan thing. How could she leave him? He's attractive. He's a successful guy. You're in a relationship with that person. It doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. If you're not happy with them, then don't stay in that situation just to make society happy. And that's basically what I want to tell her, because we don't even know why they broke up. For all we know, right, Michael B. Jordan could have broke up with her, or he could have been cheating, or whatever the case may be. Everybody just rushed,
or he could just be lame as I don't know what. And she like, look, I don't like you're lame,
exactly.
Guy.
We don't know, so everybody just rushed to judgment. We love to call women okay, because look at how many women Diddy has dated. Has he ever been married? I mean, so he doesn't get that same smoke. Rick Ross has pretty much said a woman has to put out for him in order for him to work with him on his label. You know what I mean? So 50 Cent has dated, oh God, so many different women. The guys don't get that type of smoke. It seems like it's only reserved for women. So just to shorten this up, to answer your question, Rozzy, at the end of the day, do what makes you happy. Don't be reckless. Don't do it to the detriment of your health or safety or things like that. But don't be in a relationship just because everybody else thinks it's perfect. You do what makes you happy, because it's your life.
All right. So I had to take this in pieces because we just got to get this out. I'm so tired of this Lori Harvey, Michael B. Jordan conversation. First of all, there's so many levels to this. It's social media. So people have to take a side. I don't know why we think people have to take a side. Either you're Team Lori and she's living her best life and she's a woman of the 90s or whatever and she's just doing her thing, or she's for these streets, and how can you leave Michael B. Jordan? It's social media. Like, just let it be. First of all, I see it as people date, they break up. This is no different from any other breakup I've ever heard in my life. If they would have left that, Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey broke up, I'm like, oh, that's messed up. I think I didn't even know they were still dating. I forgot they were that irrelevant in my life when it came to dating. But I'll go back to social media. Is it puts it in everybody's face because they're so, I guess they're both influencers or whatever. They're both so popular that they can't hide. They can't just have a regular breakup. Everything has to be taken to the next level. To me, this is just like any other breakup. And at the end of the day, she's 25. She does what I feel like every woman does, or most women do, by 25 or pre-25. They date. Now, she just has the ability to probably date higher profile men, and these higher profile men, at the end of the day, optics wise, were bad decisions. Let's just be honest. It is bad decisions. But once again, how's that different from a lot of women out there when they're 25 dating the dope boy and like all this stuff, the Russell Wilson and Lane conversation. It's if there was no social media and these were just regular dudes and they had the same lifestyle, she probably still choose them because that's what she's attracted to at that age. She's 25. I don't see any different. What I want to tell my daughter is to be true to you. Because we're saying, getting married and all this stuff at a young age or choosing him or settling is a bad thing. We're assuming that was a situation. But I take another look at it as I feel like, and I say it all the time, people are copycats of everything else. Is she single because she feels like it's time to be a hot girl summer, or she should be out in these streets, or whatever the case may be, because settling down is that as popular? I don't want you to be out in these streets because that's what's popping, but I also want you to settle to try to be this perfect woman, this I got to get married early type person because the other side of society is telling you that, you need to settle down. You're 25. You're about to be an old maid. You got a good one and all this stuff. Be you. If you want to date and figure out what you want out there, do that. My advice, keep it between you and him if possible. Everybody doesn't need to know your business. Stay away from optics, because the more you make it seem grander than what it is, and you open your life up to all these people, when the things don't work out, you've already opened the doors to their criticism. You open the doors to their praise, you open the doors to their criticism. It's unfortunate.
And let me say this, because I know the question was, how will we apply this to our daughter? But I do want to say this real quick, Rozzy, because I made a post on this. First off, in my personal opinion, and I spoke on this in the first part of my answer, I do think it was a bit trifling to date a son and then the father. I don't know all the details behind it, but on the face, that seems a little trifling. However, I really wish that we would stop using these pop culture issues as a means to wage another battle of the sexes with black people. And I'm only concerned about black people with this. Look, if you want to call her this and that, you want to comment on it, centralize it to just that. But too many times I see guys saying, see, and this is why so many women are alone when they're in their 40s, because they make decisions like Lori Harvey. You don't know that. You ain't met all these women and you know what I mean? And women doing the same thing and using it as well. Guys always think we supposed to be so happy with marriage and that's all our... Enough! We got too much shit that divides us as well to be also piggybacking on pop culture issues and using it as that's why all men are this or that's why all women are that. It gets tiring for me. I hate seeing it. And as corny as it sounds, I know we're never going to 100% agree on everything, but it would be nice not to do certain shit in the public like we do on social media. It just seems like we're always at each other's neck. I hardly ever see us bigging each other up. It's always how men are trash or how women are or whatever the case may be. And that shit needs to stop.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest part of it. It's when, let's say everything you just said was true. Men are trash, women. What do we do to fix it? Like, let's not just stop at one point. Stop it. Like, if that's the image, if that's what women think men are, and this is what men think women are, how do we make it work? What do we need to do? I need to heal. I need you to understand I'm healing, and I need you to heal, and I need to understand you're healing. And we decide, do we want to start dating? Do we need to take a dating block, a break, or whatever the case may be? But as long as we see ourselves as the victim and the other person as the enemy and the oppressor, we're never going to heal. But that was my main things. I want my daughter to be true to herself. I want her to not follow social media, because now it's almost hard to tell people's intent, right? Is she being true to herself? You know, is my daughter trying to be out here to have in these streets because that's what's good, that's popular? Or is she trying to settle down because the other side of society is telling her she needs to settle down? How does she figure out what she wants? And that's what I want to do. And I want to have those conversations with her and guide her and say, hey, be you, but also be cognizant of every decision you make. Because I'm all for Lori Harvey taking her time, finding love, if that's what she's going to do. But I don't want, and this will be very interesting 10 years from now, if she's still single and she can't find anybody, and then the narrative is, well, she should have stuck with Michael B. Jordan. The same women that might be, you know, patting her on the back realize, like, hey, her not being married is not a problem, but understanding if you date like this in your early 20s and stuff like this, and people start looking at you a certain way, the consequences, or not even the consequences, the actions of that, or things that come with that, or it might be harder to date and find a man who can take you or cherish you the same way later. It's not absolute, because I know a woman, I don't care about all that. Let's not talk about the one-offs. Just understand when you do something, there is going to be an action that comes with it. There's going to be something that comes with it. So more power to her for being true. I want my daughter to live her best life, but if my daughter puts her career first and wants to go out and do all these things, and she waits to get married, and she, what was the late great Kevin Samuels age, 35? Was that it?
Oh yeah.
If she finds herself at 35 and she's a quote unquote leftover, that you are now in that quote unquote bucket, and you deal with those dating situations then. But, you know, getting married young still, I mean, all that stuff, everything has its own, you know, pros and cons. So,
and just for sake of time, I'll jump in. I want to, so I did want to get into a Lori Harvey think piece. That I really did want to kind of focus it on what we're telling our kids, because the thing is, our kids are going to run into this, right? I think on one of the think pieces, I mentioned that, like, my daughter, who is 20, about to turn 21, has had 5 guys that I know she's kind of been talking to over the last 6 months. So everybody's on Lori Harvey for dating 7 guys in the last 7 years, right? She's been dating publicly since she was 18. She's 25 now, and every guy that she's dated has been this public thing. So for me, I'm like, Lori Harvey is not this bad person, or it's a bad thing that she's going through this. We talk about the guys she's dated in the past. She should have broken up. She dated Future. She should have broken up with Future, right? Like, I don't get it. So, you know, it's like, I want my daughter to be able to identify, oh, this isn't working, let me move on. I want my daughter to say, I tried with you, I'm not feeling this, I'm moving on, or whatever. Like, so my thing is, and on top of that, all these guys that are jumping in saying blah blah blah, oh, she's never gonna find anybody, this is why women's wrong. Most of those guys are single anyway, and I don't take relationship advice from single people. I'm sorry. Like, you can't tell me. You can tell me maybe some pitfalls that I might need to watch out for, but you can't tell me what's right, because you can't find your own person. So get out my, you can't give me advice. Sorry, it just is what it is. You know, I say that as a single person out here giving advice, but at the same time, it's like, I think we have to take all those comments for a grain of salt. And that's what I'm telling my daughter. That's what I'm telling Haley is, go out and date. Go out and talk to these guys for a month or 2. Get to know them. And at any point you start seeing red flags and you feel like this isn't going to work out, chuck the deuces and move on. Because I'd much rather you do that than you be in this relationship for a year, 2 years. Now he's got you in this narcissistic relationship where you're like, oh, I gotta satisfy him, or whatever. It's all about him in this relationship, and I can never be myself, or I gotta fit into the mold that he wants me to be in. Find somebody that appreciates you and loves you for you, that can let you grow and bloom and blossom and do you and still love you, and that you can feel comfortable and y'all can be partners in this relationship and not just you're supporting him and he not supporting you or whatever. So I'm all for it. I'm telling my daughters that. I'm telling my son that, you know, hey, if she not feeling you, move on, bruh. Same thing we tell our sons right now. It's like, if you're not feeling her, if you're not digging her, keep going, keep moving on, go on to the next. I'm telling my daughters the same thing. And I'm not treating her like a because of that. And truthfully, I don't care if she slept with all of them or not. I pray to God she didn't sleep with all of them. But what I'm saying is, you know,
You don't care. She didn't. That's what I tell myself.
Yeah, that's what I got to tell myself too. But at the same time, if she did, oh well. You know what I mean? Because I'm not shaming my daughter either. That's what dating is. It's like, you made those choices. Wrap it up. Be safe. I pray that you're not, but if you are, hey, that's your prerogative. You're an adult. I can't do anything aside from giving you good advice, giving you sage advice, hoping that you're safe and hoping that you're happy, because that's ultimately what I want. I want you to be happy.
And you hit on something. Be safe. Date, do things, but don't do anything that's going to leave behind something you can't get rid of. Like,
right.
Lori Harvey, as much as they want to talk about her, she ain't had no babies. So no harm, no foul at this point, right? And so that's the thing. If she would have had babies by all these guys, it's a completely different conversation to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep talking about her, and Byron brought up that dating the dad and the son. Shame on the dad and the son. Oh, actually, I can't shame the son because she dated the son first. Yeah. So shame on the dad. Like, we don't talk about that enough, you know? And this guy is a grown man. So was she manipulated?
But we know Diddy's a narcissist anyway, so it's all about him. Everything's all about him.
I agree with you, Raji. Like, I want my daughter and my son to just date and enjoy life, but also be aware of the longer you kick the can down the road. If you want to keep kicking it, hey, I know people that's enjoying their best life kicking that can down the road, but be understanding that everything has its, you know.
Yeah, it has a shelf life, and the longer you wait, the harder it is to get to that next level if that's what you want. Yep. So you gotta weigh that out, and you gotta understand the consequences of waiting that long.
So I hate using the word consequences because now that makes it sound bad.
No, it's. I mean, that is it. It is action and consequences. It's like you do something, and whatever happens. That, I mean, it's the technical term of it, not no baggage behind it.
All right, what you got for us?
I'm going to sacrifice my question because of time, but I do want to say, in one of these future episodes, we're going to have a conversation about shaming and if we should or should not, because I'm not sure I'm fully on board on whether we shouldn't be shaming. I think there's a place for shaming. We'll get to that later episode. I'm gonna wrap it up.
Just real quick, so I'm ready for this, and we can do that next week because that sounds like a great conversation.
Okay,
at the week after Father's Day,
because I know that's the trend now that we can't be shaming.
And when we say shaming, is that saved for women? Don't answer that question. We'll get back to you next week.
That's a nice tease. That's a nice tease right there. I like that. You know me, so man. I like to go against the grain a little bit. I just want to say real quick, a few things, man. One, I'm very grateful that you brothers were able to go to Mobile and support our brother Sherman, Wendell, Mike. You know, thank you guys for being there for him. I know it meant a lot to him. So good looking out, especially you, Ferg. This brother flew back this morning as we're recording now, and it's up recording with us for this show for tomorrow. I want to give a shout out to the Inspire You on Air crowd. We hope that you are enjoying us. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to us. We definitely like for you to listen to us on Inspire You. But if you're like a new listener, subscribe to Three Brothers No Sense on any podcast platform. Go back and listen to some of our old episodes. Maybe you can catch us in some contradictions. Like, hey, Razi, on episode 3, you said this. Now you saying that. Buff, you said. So, you know, check us out. See what you think. Let us know. And last but not least, 2 last things. One, another shout out to Melody Hobson, who became the first Black woman to become part owner in the NFL of the Denver Broncos. That is huge. Congratulations to her on that. And I want to call to arms everyone that's listening right now. WNBA star Brittany Griner has now been locked up for, I believe, 116 days in Russia. Star for the Phoenix Mercury. She got locked up for having hash oil in her bag, and she's been in a Russian prison ever since. I know the administration was not being that public about it. To my understanding, they were doing that because it increased the chances of us getting her back because of, how Russia is. But that hasn't worked now. And so now it's time to turn the heat up, because we all know if this was LeBron James, Steph Curry, hell, we ain't even got to use a superstar. I think LeVar Ball's son a couple of years ago, his son and a couple of teammates got detained somewhere, and he called on Trump to get involved, and it happened like that. They were back home. If this was it doesn't even have to be a superstar. It could be an average NBA player. If they were locked up over there, we would be hearing more about this. So I know most of us are not like these popular people that can make a difference on our own. But if we come together on this one, we can. So I'm asking everybody, make some type of post on your social media platform. Let's get some type of hashtag trending, whether it's bring Brittany home, whatever the case may be, whatever you think is best. But let's get that going. Don't underestimate the power of social media, because for all the bad that it is, it does some good. It's why George Zimmerman was tried in the Trayvon Martin case. Even though we didn't get the outcome we wanted, at least he was held accountable for it in some way. Social media can be powerful when used for good. Let's get this trending. Let's bring this woman home. No one should be locked up this long for some fucking hash oil. That's ridiculous. Let's bring her home. Let's get that trending.
Definitely agree, man. Definitely agree. Couple things I have. One is go to threebrothersnosense.com, pick up that Get Buff shirt for the summer time, because excuses build zero muscles, baby. So go ahead and get that shirt for us. And again, I brought up Elaine Welteroth's book. I think it's called More Than Enough. Go out, check that out. It is an awesome book, especially for folks like me that are in the white dad club, as she coined it. So for the mixed race babies out there that grew up, I made a post on social media today that said I felt like she was describing my life, and she really was. And so anybody that's interested in how intersectionality works, how workplace dynamics work with and diversity and inclusion, she described moving in white spaces the best I've ever seen somebody describe that. So go up, check out that book, man. It is an awesome book. I just want to throw that out there. And then again, like Ferg said at the top of the hour, happy Juneteenth, happy Father's Day to everybody. Definitely want to make sure everybody goes out and celebrates freedom, celebrates your fathers. Happy Father's Day to all of our fathers who have passed. So Heavenly Father's Day, but we've lost too many fathers, but at the same time, we all are appreciative for having them for whatever reason, however good, however bad. We all appreciate that they were here in our lives, and appreciate all those dads out there that are stepping up, because I want to break that narrative that Black fathers aren't there, because it's not true. And Black fathers are there. And happy Father's Day to you guys. We appreciate everything that you guys are doing.
Exactly. I appreciate that. Both of you guys. So I'll end with this. My timeline has been blowing up with the Tabitha Brown collection being released at Target. I don't know if you guys do Tabitha Brown is. She's just a very positive person who has millions of followers from her TikTok and Instagram posts about her vegan lifestyle and stuff like that. So she recently released a collection in Target June 11th, which was yesterday. And one of our fellow Rattlers, Katara Coleman, is the poster child for her new release. And the Deltas have been blowing it up. Targets across the world have become the center of photo shoots as these ladies have embarked on supporting Tabitha Brown and supporting Katara. So shout out to Tabitha Brown getting another a black line of clothing into Target. I've really never heard anybody say anything bad about Target, so that's always good. And shout out to Katara Coleman for being the face of this new campaign. Congrats. I'm never shocked about this amount of success and things that come out of the Beta Alpha chapter of Delta Sigma Theta at FAMU. The real Beta Alpha chapter. I'm gonna have some people mad at me, but that's what they go by. The baddest, whatever. So, congrats. That's super dope. Go out and support. I'm pretty sure I will be seeing some stuff arrive on my doorstep soon. And with that being said, 3 Brothers No Sense. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.